Hello and a warm welcome to The Federal. I'm Neelu Vyas, and on this platform, you'll find me doing debates, interviews, analysis, and much more, basically focusing on politics and current affairs. Countdown to the 2024 elections seemingly has begun because recently we saw Home Minister Amit Shah announcing the date of opening of the Ram Temple in Ayodhya. And followed after that was a whole lot of politics with Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge questioning as to how Amit Shah could announce the date of the opening of the temple. Later on, RJD State President Jagdanand Singh also said that how Ram Temple is being built on a land of hatred. Keeping all that aside, but the big question is the political survival of BJP difficult without raking up the Ram Mandir issue? Is that the only issue that they have under that belt? Today, I'm joined by Dr. Sanjeev Kelkar, who's been associated with RSS since 1965. He's an RSS ideologue, thinker, author. Dr. Sanjeev Kelkar, welcome on The Federal.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Kelkar, my first question is that if BJP has been promising many things, but there are a lot of promises which are still unfulfilled. So does BJP rake up the Mandir issue only to cover up its inefficiencies and all those promises which have not been fulfilled?
I really don't know. There are many things which people of India never expected in 2014, and they have been actually given to people. The government has given so many other things, done so many other things for people, that I don't think that BJP really needs any struts like that. But then there are deeper issues as to why Ram Mandir has continued to remain central to the Indian politics since maybe 1992 or maybe earlier than that. I would put the question slightly differently as to why they do not talk about what they have actually done. Promises are always too many. In economics, like they are needs, they are never satisfied. But there are promises, there are things that they have done, which why don't they talk about it?
Absolutely.
I think if you give something to people, people feel grateful. And then it's no good reminding them again and again that, hey, you should be grateful to us, you should be grateful, we have given you this, we have given you that. People don't like it. And that also, it's not in good taste. You do it because you think it is right, you do it, finish it. Atal Tunnel, Assam and Arunachal Bridge or whatever. There are hundreds of things they have done. So there is no need really for them to talk because people understand. And the sense of gratitude.
Sorry to interrupt you, Dr. Kelkar, but the way Amit Shah, out of the blue suddenly announced the date of the opening of the Ram Temple, was it really called for? He could not have announced, then also it wouldn't have mattered. But what was the need for him to announce the date?
You should ask him.
Because that has given an impression that BJP cannot survive without raking up the Ram Mandir issue. And is that going to be the predominant agenda in 2024?
That again is a question for the BJP to answer. But I don't think that there is anything so complicated about announcing a date because we are already 1 year from it. The elections are too far away, nearly 16, 17, 18 months away. And I personally don't think that whenever that happens, the event that will be organized will need a lot of preparation for people to prepare, others to prepare their mind. And what I have seen of BJP is that they do 100 things. And when something comes to a fruition, they tell the nation about it. The two examples that I gave was that of Atal Tunnel. Nobody knew that it was going on. The other one is that Assam, Arunachal, nobody was knowing that. Ujjwala, nobody ever thought about that. But then they did it, they announced it. They gave the first cylinder and connection free, but not the other ones. So I don't think it is, they announce things as they come. It's not politics. It is politics. It's not that simple. There may be other things that they are pre-warning everybody that, okay, one of the promise that they had made is going to be fulfilled now. But what do we really need to understand is what has gone on behind Ram Temple. The other question that I would like to ask is whether, okay, this is something which Amit Shah has done fine, but then that is not the only issue which is being discussed for last 2, 3, 4 years in the media about Ram Temple. Several things have been uh, are being raised. The what I cannot understand is that it's not just the volcanic eruptions of emotions and arguments and
Would you
all
blame
this.
the media? Would you blame the media for raking up the Mandir issue? Because he raised a lot of issues, but the only issue which got figured in the headline was the Mandir issue. Because all of a sudden, I mean, it's for the first time that he announced the date of the opening of the Ram Mandir. So obviously, it had to be a headline. So would you blame the media for that?
I would blame media. They have their own purposes, they have their own intentions, they have their own priorities also, of which I am no party to argue or ask them why. But certainly, we talked about what BJP has done in secular fronts, not necessarily this Ram Mandir. Who is interested in talking about that? Nobody. Media doesn't talk, newspapers don't talk, opposition party people, they will never want to talk about what is going on, what has been achieved for people. So that actually gets sidelined. There are
They,
many more. You see, it's not just Ram Mandir. There is something much too deeper than what has happened so far. And it may be a good idea to discuss something about the basic historical, psychological, as well as philosophical facts and ideas behind why this whole thing has erupted suddenly in 1992 or 1990 when Car Seva was performed and the masjid were demolished and whatever happened. Because it is those things, I think, which nobody talks about.
no,
If BJP wants to win the elections by that, okay, win it, let it win. The question is how much does the
Are you
public
are you
understand?
no? Are you okay with the fact that BJP is raising the Ram Temple issue incessantly in every election? Since 1992, we've been seeing it. Even during Vajpayee's era, we saw that the Ram Temple issue was a big issue. 2014, again, it figured. 2019, again, it figured. And now, when the Ram Temple is on the verge of almost getting constructed, it again is become, it seemingly looks like a political issue again for BJP. So, my main question to you is that cannot, I mean, why is it that BJP cannot stay away from raking up the Mandir issue?
Okay, there is something like a percentage of danger. I am a doctor. So we have to tell the patients every time that, okay, this is what we will be doing. And in your condition, this is the percentage of adverse reactions that is possible. And that percentage has to be stated specifically. Now, if I ask you people to do a little bit of statistical exploration, let me ask you how many times BJP per se has raised this issue and how many times the press conferences and so many other things that they do. What is the percentage at which this issue has been per se raised by BJP as compared to the other issues that they've raised by BJP? That's one part. I
No, they
personally
see
think
they
that it
might not
is
be raising.
always.
Dr. Kelkar, they might BJP might not be raising the temple issue throughout the year, but whenever we see when elections are around the corner, it's always the mandir, masjid, Kabristan, Pakistan, all these issues, so which lead to an impression that mandir is becoming a sort of a polarizing issue, which consolidates, the Hindu vote bank and the Muslim vote bank on the other side. So it seems like that, and I'm going to use the word seems, that it seems that BJP is using this issue over and over again just to polarize the voters because it becomes an emotive issue and the people won't question BJP on other unfulfilled promises which it has left behind.
Okay, something which I would be rather reluctant to speak about, but I think I will have to, because it goes back not in today's politics, not in 1989 when Somnath started, not earlier, but much earlier to that. Ram Janmabhoomi has become a sine qua non of Hindu reaction. And it has become the sine qua non of that Hindu reaction, which is very strong, which has never been vocal for last 80, 85 years. And now it dares people that, yo, this is what I am going to say, this is what we are going to say. And you know what has happened is it is hitting back against those who persecuted them, insulted them, degraded them, humiliated them for 80, 85 years. So if you consider pure human psychology, forget about politics, then it is that crushed human psychology which is retaliating, which people don't like, especially the Muslims don't like. They don't like this primarily because uh, there is a deep-rooted, uh, what shall I say, emotional strata within every Muslim mind in this country, or many Muslim minds in this country, maybe influential, that they were the rulers, not Hindus. And Britishers should have given them the reins of Hindustan when they liberated it, and not to Hindus. And it is this rural mentality from which so many things have cropped up. And almost everything that you can connect in this business can be linked to this rural mentality. And these people are still trying to corner BJP, hammer BJP on this, because they just don't like that such a reaction has come up from those whom they consider as their subjects. The fact of the matter is, in 1857, the Britishers had taken India not from Muslims, but from Marathas. Two-thirds or more of the country was under Marathas. It was Marathas who had allowed a Mughal Badshah to continue on
Dr.
the throne.
Kelkar, these are all.
So
No, I get what your point, what you're trying to say. You are mentioning all the historical aspects, but why do we need to go back into the history years and years back when there are so many other issues? The moment you start questioning BJP on unemployment, on inflation, and on declining GDP, then they always go back to an emotive issue like Ram Temple or some other polarizing issue. So that is where the problem is. And whatever the historical injustice has been done, do we really need to rake up this issue and by saying that, look, the Hindus of the country are in danger? Is that going to be the predominant narrative in the 21st century? And the younger generation is going to be brought up in this kind of an atmosphere.
I don't think we can really ignore the history. We will have to. We will have to study that. We will have to get our people to understand what has happened. Because it's not just a question of BJP winning. It's a question of something much more fundamental. And that is there anything that these people called Hindus, is there anything that this nation called Hindustan has something which is special, something which at its essential core needs to be preserved or not? And if it has to be preserved, then who will preserve it? Likely to preserve it or have the ability to preserve it, hopefully. And that is not answered in affirmative by any other party, any other person, organization, except what the RSS and its paraphernalia is speaking about.
No,
What
but
they,
RSS also.
is there something essential in this country as its ethos, which we rarely or do not find elsewhere in the world, is at the root of everything. And people who do not want this particular thing to resurface are the ones who oppose everything out of this particular mentality. There is a natural aggressiveness in Muslims, and I am not saying this. There are about 60 Pandits who came together, and then their opinions were recorded in one book called Muslim Manacha Show, The Exploration of Muslim Mind. And they said, we are, by nature, we are aggressive. And
But
people don't
Kelkar,
like
if
it
I
to
may ask
be.
you very honestly, if I may ask you very honestly, is it because of the RSS pressure that BJP keeps raking up the temple issue? Because they've been saying that this issue is their core agenda, whether it was Article 370, that's done and dusted. But the temple issue, years after years, the BJP is raising it. Is it under the pressure of the RSS?
I personally feel that this Ram Mandir business is just one of the many things that BJP will do to win the elections. Any political party is very
And you say
legitimate.
it's perfectly justified. And you say it's perfectly justified.
It is in politics, nothing is wrong as long as you are going to get power, is what primarily a political party exists.
But even
Now,
if it
if your
divides the nation, even
means
if
are
it
not
divides the
bad,
nation, Dr. Kelkar, even if it divides the nation,
has it? It has already divided the nation in 1947. Nobody could prevent it. My personal opinion is that a lot had to be done which has not been done, but that
are
leave
we to
aside.
understand? Are we to understand that we continue to
In
live
last,
as a
in
nation? No, but what I'm saying is that does it mean that we continue to exist as a nation where there is so much of animosity towards Muslims?
I'll again have to go back to the history for answering this. Now, there is an animosity. Let us not deny that. The
There is no
uh,
way
the
you can.
the what is the animosity is there. The whatever the reason, but the Muslims have made three basic mistakes in India, and that is believing that they are the rulers and they were the rulers. They have forgotten three things which they must understand. One, till about Alauddin Khilji's time, nobody really stayed in India. They came, looted, took away the women, whatever else they did, cut people's head. Nobody stayed. People started staying and they ruled. It is the invaders who ruled them, ruled our entire country, converted Muslims included. It is the elite coterie of those invaders which ruled, Uzbekistans and other people. The Indian converted Muslim never ruled. It was nowhere there in their country, their darbars. And they were actually treated like abominable servants and nothing more. And I am not saying this. There is a great historian, Hyderabadi, by name Setu Madharao Pagdi. It is he who has made these observations. Muslims have to come out of that and say that, okay, we are not the invaders, we are the subjects of those invaders. And therefore, the invaders out, we converted otherwise, and Hindus are the two people of this nation. It is not,
So,
the
correctly
onus doesn't always lie with the majority. The onus always
Dr.
lies
Kelkar,
also with minority.
Dr. Kelkar,
Hmm.
I'm just trying to understand what you're saying. My point is that is this the only political agenda of BJP to correct the historical injustice which has been done, to remind the present generation that, look, the invaders came, they cut your head, they excommunicated you? Is that the only political narrative which is left with BJP? They don't have
No,
any other issue?
no. The primary objective with which this entire Hindu movement in this country has started in 1925 or maybe in Tilak's time was to conserve something which is the essence of this nation. And that is about the only core agenda, nothing else. Tomorrow, I used to, during that Ram Janmabhoomi, I made some remark with one of my friends. Okay, if you think that Hindus and Muslims will mentally unite so completely by our temples being painted green, I will do that because I am a Hindu. I have no problems in doing such thing. But will this be accepted? No, it won't be,
But
because
what
the
I
rift
don't
is just
understand,
too deep.
but
The
Dr.
rift,
Kelkar, you have a point, but what I'm not able to understand is that what is the need for BJP to remind the citizens of this country over and over again that, look, the Hindus are in danger, Hindu khatre mein hai? That is the narrative which BJP is trying to adopt, and wants the people also to realize this. What is the need for that? Are Hindus really in danger? Are we living in a danger that, look, Muslims will come and they will cut your head and they will kill you? Why is there the need to live in this kind of a fear? You have a government where the ruler is supposedly the Hindu Hriday Samrat. Narendra Modi ji is seen like that. You have a Hindu majoritarian government which is talking about a Hindu Rashtra. And then what is the need for building that emotive sentiment that Hindus are in danger? If BJP is so confident, it should not require this kind of a political agenda.
The forces which are under work against the Hindu ethos of this country, let us not talk about RSS, let us not talk about BJP, is pretty old and is at least about 200 years old. And it is not a question of Hindus are in mortal danger of their necks being cut off or they're stabbed into open riots or any such things. The thing is, there is something which is called as the self-respect. Is something which is considered as our own core. And when, and this has been, actually Hindus are not in danger in this country, to be very frank. Frankly, because we have retaliated 800 years
A
of Muslim.
statement which very rarely is made by RSS people.
No. They also know that the point is that this consistent, बोलते हैं ना कि the consistent deriding Hindus is something which the Hindus are not liking now, and that is why they are hitting back. And it is, try to understand again human psychology. RSS, BJP, Hindu Rashtra, elections, Ram, chodo, leave them. The basic simple psychology is that we have been insulted for last 80 years. Now we are showing signs of becoming powerful, and somewhere or the other that insult is going to come out.
But Dr. Kelkar, do we become powerful by becoming a Hindu Rashtra? We declare that we are a Hindu Rashtra and we become very powerful with that?
If you ask my personal opinion, there is nothing like creating a Hindu Rashtra. That has always been there. It is actually, even within RSS or within BJP, there were two agendas.
You mean to say that RSS also realizes that this is a hollow issue of building a Hindu Rashtra?
No, there is nothing to build because it exists. Simple. There is nothing to rebuild, nothing to reopen. There is a Hindu Rashtra. It stays there. It is there. It has been there. It's not a question of, this fighting is not going on to create a Hindu Rashtra, to cut Muslims down. It is to ensure that something which is very, very core value of Hindus or this country needs to be preserved. And now by what means?
How do we preserve this? With so much of hatred? With so much of hatred towards other communities, the marginalized and the minority communities, we preserve this heritage with so much of hatred.
What do the minorities treat majorities like that? I don't need to tell you. The way this has been, the majority has been treated in this country for last 70 years since independence. So it's not just the majority what it is doing. It's also the minority which is doing something which is not acceptable. Tomorrow, if somebody comes into my house and slaps me, then I am certainly not going to tolerate. And you see, it is the hurt. It is the hurt of Hindus which is playing now out.
Right.
And that so people don't like, Muslims don't like, Congress doesn't like it. Right. And it is basically, it's a simple psychological matter. You hit us for so long, insulted us for so long. Now we are in power. Now we want to assert ourselves. And many of these things cannot be ascertained or achieved unless and until the entire Hindu mind starts thinking that, yes, there is something which we need to preserve and therefore we need to survive.
So, Dr. Kelkar, if I may ask you, we are towards the last lap of the interview. Yeah. So, Ram Temple will continue to become a symbol, or rather will be a symbol of so much of hatred for the Muslims. That, look, we have built an iconic temple, which is going to be a symbol of hatred.
Ram Temple, once it is opened, It will become a huge tourist spot. But then the fight for what is being destroyed, which has been the points of honor of Hindus for last 800 years, will not stop. Ram Mandir will become a tourist spot,
But
and it
how
should
long
become.
will but how long will
Kashi,
we continue to talk about Ram Temple?
yes, we will continue to talk about Hindu resurgence till such time that the world understands that we are not going to be bogged down by it. Be it Muslims, Christians, anybody else, Russians, China communists, we will not be bogged down. That
But
is
do
the
you
narrative.
believe do you believe that BJP is devoid of ideas and it wants to cover up its inefficiencies, and that's why it rakes up this Hindu
Personally,
resurgence?
personally, I don't think BJP has failed in last 9 years. Most certainly not. Things which have never been even conceived by people anytime at all have been achieved with super smooth efficiencies. Glitches will be there. After all, we deal with 1 billion people, not like Denmark or Norway, where not even a crore of people exist. And in such a situation, if we are going to go around looking for only the blotches and never find the walls colored well, then that is something which I can never understand. I can, and nobody can really say why
Which
you can't defend it.
Dr. Kelkar, which
BJP has
means
not failed.
Dr. Kelkar,
What it has been brought into the arena again and again is because there is only one thing that the world is willing to listen, and that is that they are communal.
but
That's it.
But Dr. Kelkar, does that mean that we continue to live in times of hatred? Because we have to assert the Hindu resurgence. So we continue to talk about hatred towards Muslims. We need to keep reminding our generations that, look, what did the Muslim invaders do? You need to know the reality. At the cost of not talking about inflation, not talking about price rise, not talking about GDP.
Who
You
doesn't talk?
ask the most difficult questions to BJP, they will say that, look, you are having an agenda.
No, 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 no. Again, I mean, you just cannot uh, discuss anything without going back. Let us go back to the 60 years of Congress, whatever else that has been ruling us, including Janata government. There have been lots of uh, decades when the life was in extreme agony. Under Gandhi's, under this, under that. India was poor, life was under agony, things were not available, everything. And then there was nobody else powerful enough to ask these questions. Today, BJP is there, it is trying to do things, it has done many things, it has not failed. And now, because they have achieved so much, now only the fingers are being pointed at what has not been achieved. I don't know what has not been achieved. But then what about those 70 years when nobody opened their mouth and asked because there was nobody to ask? Now, in spite of being so powerful, BJP is allowing other people to slander itself. And where is the question of hatred? It's a question of understanding.
Yeah.
The Hindus, the Muslims are converted Hindus, and they still have that Hindu ethos on which actually I had written an article, whether there are Indian Muslims or there are Hindu Muslims. And I personally believe that our Muslims are Hindu Muslims. They are not imported from anywhere. It's their
Okay.
country. They have to understand.
Yeah. This looks like an endless ideological battle, but I'm glad you answered all the questions and so humbly. Thank you so much, Dr. Kelkar, for joining on the Federal. And stay tuned to the Federal for more news, for more updates, and more interviews with me. Thank you.
Subscribe to the Federal's YouTube page for more interesting updates.